Alright, today we are jumping into a really wild idea. One that comes to us all the way from ancient Greece. What if your body wasn't just, well, a body? What if it's actually a miniature universe, like a tiny, living, breathing copy of the entire cosmos? It's a way of thinking that could make you rethink pretty much everything you assume about health.
I mean, seriously, what if your health wasn't just about what you eat or how much you exercise? What if it was about syncing yourself up with the cosmic dance? You know, the sun, the moon, the changing of the seasons. Now, that might sound like some New Age poetry, but for the ancient Greeks, this was hard science. So let's get into where this all comes from. We have to go back about 2,500 years. There's this Hippocratic treatise called De Victu, or On Regimen. And the author, we don't actually know his name, so we just call him the dietitian, laid out this whole worldview. And for him, the universe wasn't some big, unknowable mystery. No, it was the ultimate user's manual for being human. Okay, so according to the dietitian, if you want to understand your own body, you have to start by looking at the blueprint. And that blueprint is the macrocosm, the universe itself. He saw it as this perfect, self-regulating system, just a flawless balance built on two and only two fundamental opposing forces. And those two forces? Fire and water. But here's the crucial part. He didn't just mean the literal stuff. He saw them as primary powers, or dunamis in Greek. Think of it like this. Fire, being hot and dry, is the engine. It's what makes everything move and change. And water, being cold and wet, is the fuel, the nourishment, the substance. In this worldview, everything, from a star down to a single cell in your body, is just some unique mix of these two powers. But the key thing to get here is that these two forces aren't fighting each other. They're not at war. Yeah, they're opposites, but they totally depend on each other. Fire needs the moisture from water to have something to work on, and water needs the energy from fire to, do anything. It's this constant collaborative cycle, a partnership. The dietitian had this great, simple analogy to explain it. Imagine two carpenters sawing a log. You've got one person pulling the saw while the other one pushes. Their actions are completely opposite, right? But they're working in perfect rhythm to get one single thing done, cutting that log. Well, that constant rhythmic push and pull, that's fire and water. And that's what powers the entire universe. And this cosmic sawing motion, it just never, ever stops. It's this perfect cyclical process that gives us the unfailing balance we see everywhere. Day becomes night. Season follows season. That perfect, flawless harmony, that is the macrocosm. Okay, so that's the big picture. Now let's bring it back down to us, to the microcosm, the human body. If the universe is this perfect, pristine original, then our bodies, well, they're the flawed, fragile copies. We're made of the same exact stuff, but we're playing the game on a much, much harder difficulty level.
And there's a specific Greek word for this, apomimesis. Now, this doesn't just mean imitation like a good forgery. It really implies a hierarchy. That little prefix, apo, it suggests that the copy is removed from the original, and because of that, it's automatically inferior. So, in this view, our bodies are really just a faint shadow of the cosmos. So here's the key difference, right? Both the cosmos and our bodies are made of fire and water. But, and this is a huge but, the cosmos is this perfect self-contained system. Our body's internal balance, its harmonia, is incredibly fragile. And the reason is actually pretty simple. We have an outside. We're not self-contained. The environment is constantly throwing stuff at us that threatens to knock our whole system out of whack. Think about it like a perfectly tuned musical instrument, say a lyre. When you're healthy, all its strings are in perfect harmony. But, a change in the weather, a little bump, or maybe a clumsy player, all these outside forces, like the food you eat or the air you breathe, can easily knock it out of tune. And for the dietitian, that jarring, out-of-tune sound, that is illness.
So the big question is, if you're just this fragile copy of a perfect system, how on earth are you supposed to stay healthy? Well, the dietitian's answer was basically that user's manual for life we talked about. A regimen designed to keep your own personal instrument perfectly in tune with the grand cosmic orchestra. And that's the whole idea behind the regimen. Now, let's be clear. This isn't a diet in the way we think of it today. It was a whole way of life. It was about making a constant, conscious effort to shrink that gap between the imperfect copy, your body, and that perfect original, the cosmos. And the core principle was actually pretty simple. Whatever the environment is doing, you do the opposite.
So, take summer. The outside world is hot and dry. That means your regimen should be all about cooling and moistening things. And then, in the middle of a cold, wet winter, you flip it. You actively seek out warmth and dryness to keep that all-important internal balance.
And the level of detail here is, well, it's kind of mind-blowing. The regimen laid out rules for everything. I'm not just talking about what food to eat, but exactly how it should be cooked. Not just you should exercise, but the specific kind of walk to take and at what time of day. Literally every single part of your life was seen as a tool you could use to maintain your internal harmony.
This really shows you just how connected they thought everything was. The health of your body wasn't some separate thing from the movement of the planets and stars. As the cosmos made these huge, gradual shifts from a solstice to an equinox, your daily life was expected to shift right along with it in tiny, corresponding steps, just to stay in tune.
Okay, so what are we supposed to do with all this today? It's fascinating, but what does it mean for us? Well, when you put this ancient worldview side by side with modern medicine, you realize you're looking at two totally different ways of thinking about what a human body even is.
On one hand, you have the ancient view. The body is a holistic ecosystem, totally integrated with its environment. Health isn't a destination. It's a dynamic, constantly shifting balance. Then you have the modern view, which tends to be way more mechanistic. We often see the body as a really complicated machine. And when you get sick, it's because a part is broken. And the goal is to fix or replace that specific part, sometimes without looking at the whole system.
2,500 years. That's how long ago this treatise was written. It's a massive gulf of time. And yet, that fundamental tension, the body as an ecosystem versus the body as a machine, honestly, it feels more relevant now than ever before.
And you know, when you get right down to it, the goal of this whole regimen was never to achieve some kind of perfect, permanent state of health. The dietitian thought that was impossible for us fragile humans. No, the goal was the process. It was about the constant effort to become more like the cosmos, a little more stable, a little more balanced, and a little more in harmony with the world.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? In our amazing modern quest for precise, specialized cures for everything, have we maybe forgotten some of that ancient wisdom about balance, about harmony, and about our deep connection to the world around us?